Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg and Strelitz, the consort of George III, died on the 17th of November 1818 at the age of 74. Charlotte's health had long been deteriorating. She was suffering from dropsy. This causes painful swellings and eventual organ failure. As a result of this, she essentially retired to Dutch House, which is now known as Kew Palace. Throughout 1818, Charlotte's condition steadily worsened, and so she was basically confined to her bedroom within Kew Palace, seen here. And then on the 17th of November 1818, she settled herself into this very armchair, and there she died. She was surrounded by 4 of her children, Princesses Augusta and Mary, as well as the Prince Regent and the Duke of York. Charlotte's state coffin was laid out in the dining room at Kew Palace. It was positioned underneath the canopy, and the room was lit by large candles from the Tower of London. Although Charlotte's husband George III was told of the news, because he was suffering from such severe mental health issues by this point in time, it is unclear to what extent he understood the loss he had just suffered. So the dining room was also draped in black, and it must have been a very sombre sight indeed. And visitors were permitted to visit the Queen via ticket system. On the 2nd of December 1818, a very much private funeral procession carried Charlotte's body from Kew Palace all the way to Windsor Castle. Despite it being a wet, dreary, miserable cold day in winter, a huge crowd gathered outside of Kew to witness the Queen's final journey. The hearse was drawn by 8 horses, and en route to Windsor Castle, it stopped off at Frogmore House, and it is there that Princes of the Blood took part in that final part of the funeral procession. The king was not in attendance because he was not in his right mind, and apparently in the courtyards of Windsor Castle, straw had to be put down so that he wasn't aware of the commotion of the Queen's body being brought in. The funeral itself took place here at St George's Chapel in Windsor, and it was attended by the Queen's family, her ladies of the bedchamber, her friends, and only 54 members of the general public. And to ensure only those invited were able to attend the funeral, these tickets were issued, and this one here survives to this day, and we can see that it was for the office of the groom of the stole or stool. It was a very sombre and private affair, and apparently the choir sung beautifully. The funeral service had begun at 8 p.m. that evening, and by 25 minutes past 9 it came to an end. And as the choir sang its final song, the coffin was lowered into the vault. To this day, Queen Charlotte is the longest serving Queen Consort in British history. She served for a total of 57 years and 70 days. And indeed, she was much missed by those who loved her. This is a memorial ring with strands of her hair with her cipher that would have been given to one of her close friends, family members or attendants to remember her by.